Hey everybody, thank you for checking out this video. If you're new here, thanks for tuning in. I'm a psychic and a medium, and I channel messages where I predict political outcomes. Been doing this for about 4 years. Also, I have a series on Wednesday called Way Out Wednesdays or Wisdom on Wednesdays, which the acronym is WOW. And that series can really help you understand ascension, what's going on with the human race, so many things. You can find all this on my channel. If you click the little swirly icon, it'll take you right to my main channel. You can see playlists. Now, this is for entertainment purposes only. We are in a bit of a fix right now, but I'm here to tell you, I think we passed muster. I think we made it out of a very critical time. And what I'm talking about is the attack, and it's no less than an attack on the Biden-Harris nomination for the presidency, vice presidency of the United States of America for 2024. We're not talking about the election, folks. We're talking about the actual nomination. So I know you guys have been asking me, and I got the energy. You wanted me to do a video. I get it. Yes, it has been horrendous, absolutely horrendous energy. And I just want to say before I begin, don't shoot the messenger. Many of my colleagues and my peers did videos last week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and they said Biden is going to step down, and you guys came for them. And I'm just telling you guys, please don't do that. If you do that, you're no better, in my opinion, than Schiff coming for Biden. Yeah, that's harsh. Those are harsh words, but I'm here to tell you we're just the messenger. We are trying to do a public service. None of us are getting rich here doing this, yet we're standing in front of the firing squad and getting fired at. So please be gentle with us and be kind to us and be respectful to us, okay? Because I'm going to tell you, on Friday, I got that Biden was going to step down. On Saturday, I got that Biden was going to step down. Today is Sunday. Now, Sunday, I don't think he will at this time. But I will tell you guys, he's got free will. I cannot guarantee what that man will do. I can read the energy, and that's all we're doing here. Okay? So please understand that we're doing the best we can. Now, what is happening is, and because this is why I started reading the big energy to you guys, because you need to understand the bigger picture. It's not about, I hate to say it, but it's not about whether Biden is going to step down or not. It's really about the people who are doing this, the people who are mounting this attack. It's really about understanding the bigger picture of what's going on, so we know how to conduct ourselves, so we know what we need to do going forward, right? So that's what I'm going to say. First of all, I think we did. I think Biden passed the stress test. I think a lot of the what I call establishment Democrats, meaning old guard Democrats, a lot of them senators, but some House members came for Biden-Harris. They came for him, and they mounted a cloak and dagger attack. Okay, now some of these people weren't so cloaked. Some of them were just daggers sticking him in his back. Now, why was that? What was up with that, right? So that's what I wanted to know, and I think that's what you want to know, because, man, this guy's been a great president. He's been an amazing president, and VP Harris has been an amazing asset to that campaign. And what gives? Why are they coming after their own? Friendly fire, right? So I actually did a video yesterday. My spirit guides told me to sit down and be quiet on Thursday and Friday, which was very hard for me because they said, you don't understand. Like you're not getting the message. You're not getting the whole message, and you're going to go out there and you're going to give half a message. So I did. I didn't do anything Thursday or Friday. I've been a little active on Threads. I posted something on my YouTube post. So I've been a little active. I did a video yesterday, and I was very spicy. I would say I was 4-5 chili peppers spicy. I was so spicy that my guide said I had to edit it. So I did. And I may or may not put that video in the comments, a link to that video in the comments section of this video, because my goal is to help you. That is my only goal, period, end of story, is to provide some sort of assistance or help to whomever, whoever in whatever way I interact with you. Okay. So here's what's going on. It was a coup. The guides are saying it was a coup, and I will say that the energy of the coup is prevalent. It's prevalent in the Republican convention. It's prevalent in the Democratic convention. It's the same energy. Okay, so just briefly about the Republican convention, I believe that Vance was foisted, is the word the spirit guides want to use, upon Trump. He didn't want that man. He wanted a sycophant. He wanted a lackey. He wanted to be the king, to be the one that everybody talked about. Now he's got Vance, and everybody's talking about Vance and his, rags to riches story and all the things, right? And that is not what 45 wanted at all. He was made to take Vance. His people, his funders, his handlers, 45's handlers said, this is what's going down. You're going to take this man because we want this man. And you are going to bring us the MAGAs, and you're going to do your thing with your little accordion, hand dance and your lies. What we don't care. You're a vaudeville act, but it works. And we're making money. So, and you're going to do what we want you to do. So you do your vaudeville act. Vance is the guy who's going to do our bidding. He's going to be the guy behind the king pulling all the levers. So it was a coup. We predicted that it was a coup in the Republican Party, and it's a coup in the Republican Party. So this energy is prevalent on all sides, on both sides. Now, where this energy is coming from, the bigger picture is that you have these moneyed interests, and I've often described it as there's a moneyed interest, and they're all oligarchs, but there's a foreign oligarch group. I've talked about this a lot, right? There's a foreign oligarch group that supports the Freedom Caucus, that supports 45, that wants the money, that really wants chaos in America, and they want the money to go to them. So can you imagine a better hostile takeover than the people you're taking over pay you to take them over? I mean, that's beautiful, right? I mean, that will be historic. That will be written for many, many hundreds of years, how the American people were hoodwinked into voting for not only the worst thing for them, but they paid for it. Okay. So that's the oligarchs on the 45 side. Well, yeah, there's other oligarchs, right? There's oligarchs that would be behind the Liz Cheney and the Adam Kinzinger and the Mitt Romney and the McCain and, the old guard Republicans who are like, look, we want to keep this money in McConnell. They just showed me McConnell. We want to keep this money in America. We want to be king of America. We're not going to let no foreign country be king of America. Come on, that's ridiculous. So you have this Republican Party breaking apart because, well, there's two different factions that have a lot of money that want control of this resource. And they really see the United States as a resource because we have worker bees, we have intellectual property, and we're the Wild West where anything can go, right? I mean, you could, with a 45 Vance ticket in the White House, you're looking at cryptocurrency. You're looking at deregulation. You're looking at the Wild West times 1,000 in the way of they make money. But you're looking at increased restrictive measures on the people so they don't get any ideas, so that they're just the worker bees. They're drones. They don't have thoughts. They do. They listen. They do. And the guides are reminding me there's this research that proves that when people are really super anxious and fearful, they look for the dictator energy. They look for that person who's going to tell them, if you just do this job that I'm going to assign you, I'm going to give you this and you're going to be fine. It's really communism. The people who say they're against communism, it's very similar in a way, because Project 2025, if you read it, it states that, well, if you have a good job with a secure employer, well, we're going to leave you alone. But if you have a wonky job or a gig job, you're going to be put in this other category, and we're going to have to manage you because you're not really producing for society. you're not a productive member of society. So people will be split up into camps. And of course, they're going to be split up into racial camps, right? And sexual orientation camps. So this is what they want. And I would say that the foreign oligarchs are all about Project 2025 because they're going to be managing us from afar and they really need to have the clamp down. The old guard Republican oligarchs, they're like, we're kind of squishy. We don't really want that much control of the American people. We still sort of believe in the Constitution. We still sort of believe in the founding of the country. Now, if you'll go back to the founding of the country, you have people like Justice Thomas, they're originalist. They want to go back to the founding of the country when women don't vote, when they're, any other person but white is not a person. So there's these gray areas and there's overlap between the foreign oligarch energy and the American oligarch energy. But the difference is the American oligarch energy are much more malleable about those things. They read the writing on the wall and they understand that they're probably not going to get those things. That Americans and humans in general don't want that kind of control. So they're much more malleable about that. So there's two groups of moneyed interest, okay, that are the bigger picture. Now I'm going to add a third group of a moneyed interest. The third group of moneyed interest split off of the second group, the American oligarch group. Come on, they're going to hedge their bets, right? These same people donate to Democrats because if a Democrat gets in office, well, they need to be able to get in that Democrat's office and talk to them about what it is they want because they're buying access. Okay. Now, unfortunately, this is the way our political situation has been since the 50s or 60s, the spirit guides are saying, specifically the 60s. Okay. That's what they're saying. I don't know. Of course, it got much worse with Citizens United. But even before then, it got much worse with Reagan. Reagan is the one who said, government is bad. We're going to make this a freewheeling, free market paradise where you can afford to pay for your own health care or not. You can afford to buy your own car or not, but you're going to do it on your own. The government is not going to participate in your safety net or in your well-being. Okay, so that's when this started, really, and for sure was with Reagan. Now, let's get back to this third money, because these are the people that have caused this problem that we're in right now. So this is how I understand it. And I spent 3 days with my spirit guides, and some of it was on the floor. Some of it was in the bed with the covers over my head. Some of it was rough, okay? I had to really get a hold of my human emotions, because I was panicked just like you are, because it did look like a coup and it did look like we could end up losing the whole thing over this infighting. And why, right? You just want to lay on the floor, kick and scream and yell why, because it doesn't make any sense. Why would we do this to ourselves? Well, we didn't really do it to ourselves. What happened was this third group, which is a split off of the second group. I hope you're understanding this, right? The foreign oligarchs, the American oligarchs. We're talking about the American oligarchs right now. The American oligarchs hedge their bets and they say, you know what? We're going to give to these Democrats. We're going to give a lot of money. We're going to hedge our bets because we need to make sure that no matter who's in office, we can put a hand on the tiller, the rudder, and direct it, a hand on the steering wheel and direct them. And I don't want to get off on a tangent, but I will say this is what's happened with the media. This is what's happened with the media, and specifically, because this is the tangent, is NPR. I've seen this for years, even in my local community, where very just true blue groups that are 100% for whatever cause, let's say it's the environment. Well, after a while, ExxonMobil starts coming in and saying, we're going to give you a $5,000 grant. And for that group, that's a lot of money. And they're like, oh my God, thank you. Oh, no strings attached. Don't worry. And then the next year, ExxonMobil comes in and says, you know what, we're gonna host a big banquet for you, and we'll invite some people, and you invite some people. And then, oh, after 5 years, well, you are attached. You're addicted to that money. That money's in your budget. You're counting on that money. Guess what? They own you now. What are you going to do? Go to your board and say, we can't take money from ExxonMobil anymore. What are you talking about? That's 30% of our entire operating budget. Look at all the good we've done with this money. So we start to make excuses for it. We equivocate. Come on, it's okay. It's just we're just in bed with the devil a little bit. They're not so bad. Look what they've done to help us. But what ExxonMobil, and I'm just using them as an example, or what these American oligarchs do is they're those people that do the insurance, and it doesn't matter. Anyway, they're looking at actuary. The actuaries look at the long game. They're not looking at it for 5 years. They're looking at it for 50 years. And if they can take this environmental group, just using this as an example, they can use this environmental group and they can slowly erode 5 and 10% off of their big thinking. Well, that's a lot of percentage points after 30 years. And maybe even after 10 years, they can put their own person in charge of that environmental group. It's done by drop, 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 drop. You don't even know what's happening. So now that you understand it like that, I want you to apply that to the Democrats and I'm not making excuses because I am super feisty and I'm doing everything I can right now to not call out names and launch a war. I'm doing everything I can because that's the kind of person I am. I'm like, let's not talk. Let's just deal with this. But I'm trying to do what the spirit guides want me to do, which is explain this in a way that you can understand it in a way that's not anxiety prone. So you have these Democrats, and Schiff has come out and Sherrod Brown has come out, and I'll just use them. There are others that haven't come out. And this full moon tonight is going to reveal them. They're going to get revealed because I already know this. Okay. But I'm just going to use the two. I'll just use Adam Schiff because he pisses me off. Adam Schiff, let's say that he was a House member for a long time. So he's got his benefactors, and he's had political action PACs that have helped him. Now, these political action PACs changed their name and changed their mission, their stated mission, like people change their underwear. It is going to be proven that these political action PACs by one person, there could be 5 or 10 of them, and one of their PACs could be supporting a Republican, another a Democrat, another a Democrat against the Democrat. So do you understand? They're hedging their bets. But in the meantime, you have these Democrats that have been getting this money. Exactly my example of that group. They had every good in their heart. They thought, I'm making a bridge to this oil company. We have to be together. That's the big Democrats, right? Big tent. Let's be friends. Let's hold hands and be friends. It's the same thing. How many times have you dated somebody? It's like, oh, I can change him. I can change her. Honey, you ain't going to change them. That's the devil you're talking about. You are fooling yourself. However, these Democrats got in bed for whatever reason, whether they knew or they didn't know. Right now, we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt that they didn't know. They got in bed with these people. And some of the things that happened was because these people were now on their staff. Remember my analogy earlier? We'll put some people on your board and you put some people on your board. We'll help you. Oh, you need to fill that position? I got the perfect person for you. Oh my God, that is the perfect person. They've got so much experience. Thank you. You're grateful. But they just put their fox in your hen house. Trojan horse. Same energy's been happening. Been talking about it for years. So now these Democrats have, the guides want to call it a shill or a fox in the hen house, on their literal campaign. Now, these people are downloading your database. It's a Trojan horse. Just Google Trojan horse if you don't know what that is. These people are downloading the database. They're downloading all of your demographics. They're downloading your strategy, and they're sharing it back with someone who doesn't have your best interests at heart, who will then take that money, take that data, and put it on the market. So we have a situation where these Democrats, whether or not they know they've been compromised or they are willingly compromised, are in a bind because their money people said, guess what? We need a change on the ticket, and you are going to promote that. And if you don't want to promote that, then I'm pulling my $1 million, my $50,000, whatever it is. It really doesn't matter the amount. What matters is the percentage of that person's campaign money. I'm pulling 30% of your campaign money. You're going to have to close your office because you can't afford it. We talk about the Republicans having compromise, being compromised by spies through their connections with Russia. It's the same thing with the Dems. They're compromised by this money. And because they've been sort of brainwashed that, look, I can just hear them now saying, Susan, look, you don't really understand the world. Like I understand the world. The world is that I've got to make a deal with that Republican across the aisle. Therefore, I need to be willing to make a deal. And so when I'm getting this money from this PAC, well, I'm making a deal. They don't own me. I still vote the way I want to vote. That's not really true because it's insidious. When you vote the way you really want to vote, all of a sudden you get a text. Hey, we might have to pull our funding back. Times are tough. Maybe it's not overt. Maybe it's a little hint. Whether you want to accept it or not, those hints start playing havoc in your thinking. Okay, I guess I maybe shouldn't have voted that way. And then you go to your staff and you say, look this up. Like, am I too far to the left? Do I need to come more to the center? When in reality, because you've been brainwashed, you're to the right of center. But you've been gaslit and brainwashed to think that you're to the left of center. Okay? I'm not making excuses for these people. I'm trying to explain to you how it is because we've got some tough decisions to make. We have to vote for Adam Schiff. We have to vote for Brown. We have to vote for any dastardly person that comes out, has been exposed as maybe going against Biden. We have to, you guys, because if we don't vote for them and we get the Biden-Harris ticket that we want in the White House, and we don't have the Senate and we don't have the House because some Democrats did some stupid things and we got mad at them and said, I'm not voting for you. Then Biden-Harris just sitting there like lame ducks. They're not going to be able to do anything. A bad Schiff is better than no Schiff. This is where we are. True. I'm talking the truth here. It hurts, but this is the truth. We cannot not vote for these people. Now, in the other video I did, I was pretty angry. So you can watch that in the description if you want to. But I will say to you that I think that what we do is, because our eyes are wide open now, we got it. We understand. We've been had. We've been played. We get it. Including Biden understands the same thing. Harris understands the same thing. However, what we can do is vote them in, and then every single campaign stop, every week, you send them an email and you tell them, I'm watching your votes. I'm watching your money. I'm watching your stock trades. I'm watching you. I'm retired. I don't have nothing else to do but watch you. I'm watching you. And you want to know what? When I find out that you do something that I think is really not for your constituents, I'm going to put it on social media. I'm going to broadcast it. So I would suggest that you really clean up your act and that you really get your head screwed on straight and pay attention to your constituents and not those bankrollers that have you by your cojones. This is the sea change that is happening. Believe me when I say it is happening. There is no stopping it. It is happening. We are waking up. We're seeing things for what they are. We will now be more involved in our politics. We will now be sending them $10 a month or whatever. We will become who they answer to. We have to take back the power. And we will. Believe me when I say we will. The other thing is you vote them in, and if you can recall them, you recall them. You vote them in and immediately start a recall. We will deal with these people, but we've got to put the house on fire, out of fire right now. We've got to deal with what our priorities are, which is get the House, get the Senate, get the White House, throw out 3-4 people on the Supreme Court, and then get this country back in order. That's your marching orders. Your marching orders are not to be mad at Schiff or Brown or anybody, or even me or anybody else by telling you the truth. Your marching orders is put your emotions aside and get busy. It'll make you feel better and it'll help the country. Okay. Now, going back to Biden, here's the thing. Biden really was considering stepping down this weekend. And he may step down today. I cannot tell you what the man is going to do. I can tell you he did these things, which I think says everything you need to know about him. First of all, he didn't capitulate immediately. He stood his ground, and so did VP Harris. Secondly, and you can't even Google this. I saw it because my spirit guides popped it in front of me because that's how they do. But when I Googled it, I couldn't even find it. The stuff that is happening, you can't even Google it. It's crazy. It's like a blackout on democracy. Okay. But I'm going to show you a clip, or I'm going to put it on the screen, or I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it in editing, where one of the talking head shows, I think it was Saturday morning, I don't know, had Biden's campaign manager. Okay. Biden's campaign manager was on there, and she said, this is what we've done. She said, this is what we've done. We decided that we needed to get in touch with the American people. We don't trust polls. We trust the American people. So we, and this is like days ago, we're talking Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They deployed people to knock on 100,000 doors. I'm not talking about text. I'm not talking about phone. I'm talking about knock, knock. I'm at your house. Hi. I want to know what you think about Biden Harris. A real person. How did they do that? I mean, instantaneously somehow launched, this operation to find out what the American people really think. That's the kind of president I want to have in office. The kind of president who says, I don't care what this establishment Democrat thinks. I don't care what the polls think. I don't care what the media thinks. I care what Mary thinks, what Josh thinks, what Raul thinks, what anybody thinks that's American. And what they found out was now the demographics that they chose were people that had voted for Biden Harris, but for whatever reason weren't active, or maybe weren't answering their I don't know. That's what she said. It sounded like they targeted people who in the last election voted Biden Harris, but then for whatever reason they had a feeling that maybe they were disengaged. Of those disengaged voters, something over 72, 4 or 5, I don't remember the amount, but 70 something percent said, no, we're voting Biden Harris. Of these people that aren't even rah, rah, rah. They went to the people who were like, on the fence. Then they also added another target group of people who would be likely voters, not voters, but people who kind of match our ideals or the Biden-Harris demographic. So that was also people that they targeted. So what I love about that is that Biden said, I care about the people. I just want to go talk to the people. If the people say, we have no faith in you, I'm going to step down. But he went to the people, and the people said, three quarters overwhelmingly said, we want you. So what happened is, that's different today, Sunday morning, is that establishment Democrats blinked. They blinked, because now you see Nancy Pelosi coming out and saying she's for. Now you see, you just see certain people coming out and saying they're for it. Now, again, I saw a post by E. Jean Carroll that said, thank you, Nancy. All these people kept saying posts that just said, thank you, Nancy. No more, just thank you, Nancy. It was implied that Nancy was saying that Biden should step down. And that's implied that E. Jean Carroll thinks Biden should step down. Now, again, I would tell you guys, they've been had. I explained it in the first part of this video, how you can be corrupted. Now, the other thing that's been happening, and thank God it didn't happen to me, because I was already freaking out. So if maybe it happened to some of you guys, but a lot of Democrats were getting these texts saying Biden has to step down. We believe Biden has to step down. And it was from some kind of Democratic super PAC. And all of this is getting revealed. And you can trace those super PACs back to certain people. We go back to the beginning of this video, that were involved in some Democrats' campaigns. I'm not going to tell you who they are. You can figure it out. Maybe it'll become public, but my job is to keep us all voting blue. If we turn against each other, it's over. They win. Please don't let them win. We've got to vote blue no matter who. Because then what's going to happen is, between now and the midterms, those people are going to be exposed. They're going to be exposed, and they're going to be dealt with, and they're going to be voted out in the midterms, or they're going to be run out, or they're going to be indicted, or whatever is going to happen. I have every faith. I know this. We have to vote them in right now. I'm not saying they're criminals. I'm not saying vote for criminals. I'm saying that if you made a little mistakey on your campaign finance form, then maybe that's a problem. Maybe it was a mistake. I don't know. I'm just saying, we've got to vote blue. We have to. And then we've got to make these people understand who their new boss is. Just, the guys are saying, just the way the money stepped into Trump's, his little, in front of his orange face, and said, you have been mistaken. You are not in control. We're in control. You can go out that window, fall down those steps, choke on that hamburger pickle, or you could play the role that you're supposed to play, which is the vaudeville MAGA actor. It's a good gig. Who wouldn't want it? Do it. Everything will be fine. We are going to do the same thing to the Democrats, except for it's us. We're going to show up to these establishment Democrats and say, you're too old. You need to be out of office. Now, I know I'm supporting Biden, but Biden is actually for us. He went to us and said, what do you want? These establishment Dems are going to their money and saying, what do I need to do to keep you paying my bills? It's a big difference here. Okay. So we've got to vote them in, and then we'll deal with them. So now, going back briefly to Biden, I've always seen, from the minute that I laid eyes on Kamala Harris, I've always known that she was going to be president. My spirit guides told me she will be president. They said she will be the law and order president. They said she will be fair, but rule a divided country. Now, that sounds like fun, doesn't it? Yeah, I wouldn't want it. If I was her, I would run for the hills. But this is her sole contract. The same way that it was Biden's sole contract to be president. When it happens, I don't know. Is it going to happen today? I don't know. If it's going to happen on, in 2 weeks or a month or a year, I don't know. I know when I go into Biden's energy, he was really ready to step down this week. So those readers that said he was going to step down, I think really and truly, if you were a biatch to them, you owe them an apology, because that was his energy. His energy was, I want to do what's best for my people. And I'm telling you, really high level community active organizers and activists were getting these texts from this PAC, from multiple PACs. So it looked like his real people were coming to him and saying, look, this is bad. It was an attack. They attacked us. And Biden felt that pressure. It was a stress test. This is what the guides told me this morning. It's a stress test. If you've ever had heart trouble and you get on the treadmill and they keep pushing or if you've had a personal trainer or maybe even been in boot camp. But anyway, they keep saying, go faster, go faster, go faster. And if you don't die, they're like, oh, you're good. You know what I mean? Like, that's what they did to Biden. It was a stress test. And I think he passed. And now in my other video, you can see it. You'll see me. This was 24 hours ago, but you'll see me say all the same things, but in a much more crazy tone. He basically told them, this is the way it's going to go down. If the big capital I, capital F, if I decide to step aside, you will have President Kamala Harris. There isn't any other way. There isn't any other option. You don't understand what you're talking about because there isn't any. Biden, what they said in the other video was Biden is in this power moment where he's got something they want. They want him to step down. Oh, let me explain why. I missed that part. I went back to the other video in my head. Here's why. In a nutshell, because these moneyed interests, they know that Biden's going to raise their taxes. And he will. He will. 100%. He's told them so. He's been very transparent. So they know he's going to raise their taxes. They know he's going to increase regulations, to help the environment or to help us be safe, eat safe food, have safe transportation. They also know that he's going to increase safety for employees, unions. Those things are all going to reduce their profit by a lot. And they're like, no, we don't want that. We want to control who the president is in America because we control everything. We're the oligarchs. Okay. So we controlling Trump and Vance. We want to remove Biden Harris because they're not bought by anybody. Are you connecting all the dots right now? Because they're pretty clear. Biden Harris are not bought. They don't give a damn about your nothing. They care about the American people. Therefore, that's a threat. That's a big threat. They need to remove them. Now, I'll tell you something else. If these oligarchs, if these moneyed interests thought that 45 was going to win, they wouldn't be trying to remove Biden and Harris. They wouldn't be going to the ends of the earth to remove Biden and Harris. They know Biden and Harris is going to win. And they're hedging their bets with 45 and Vance. But they know 45 is going to lose. That's why they've mounted a complete attack on Biden. They got the memo. Oh, crap. We're going to lose. we're going to be stuck with two people we can't buy. We better get rid of them. So let's put the pressure on the people we bought to get a new ticket. And it's a win-win, because if we get the new ticket and there's infighting in the Democrats, then they're going to lose the House and the Senate. The Democrats that aren't bought aren't going to have any power. And 45 wins. And we win. We win. Biden-Harris stay in. Well, we got problems, because they're going to continue to teach the American people that this is what's good for you. We're going to give you what you want. We're going to prove to you that you can have what you want. We're not going to gaslight you. And that's when the whole thing breaks apart. That's when the cult breaks open. Because all of a sudden people are like, wait, you mean I can have clean air? I can have no school shootings? You mean I can marry who I want to marry? You mean I can get the medical care I need to get if I'm a woman? You mean I can have choice over my body? You mean I can have good wages? You mean I can get paid for overtime? You mean I can have good bridges and roads and transportation and less pollution? You mean I can have those? I really can have those things? You guys, it's game over for the Republican Party if that happens. Now you understand how important it is for them to get rid of Biden and Harris, and why there's been a whisper campaign, why there's been an attack on them, because they need to get two fools in there. Another thing is, who's going to raise their hand? Who? Because whoever raises their hand, whoever between now and the convention raises their hand and says, I want to be the new presidential nominee, that is a person we need to deal with. That's a person we need to deal with. Again, we might have to vote them in, but we will deal with them. And so I think that Biden, what he wants to do is he wants to stay in. He wants to finish the job. And that's exactly the words I think he used on his campaign trail. I want to finish the job. In the video that I did yesterday that I'll post down below that you guys can click on, he said he wanted to at least get through the election and maybe step down 18 months before the midterms to give Kamala, like 3/4 of a presidential term or something like that. He very much is, don't leave people in the lurch. He feels responsible. They just showed me Zelensky. He feels responsible for Ukraine. He feels responsible for peace in, Israel and Palestine. He feels responsible for fascism in America. He feels responsible for what's happening to our court system. He wants to fix it. He doesn't want to walk out when the job isn't done. He's not a quitter. Now, having said that, he may be forced to quit. But if he is forced to quit, he will do everything he can to make sure that he uses his power in that equation to make sure that Kamala is the president. And Kamala gets to pick whoever she wants for the VP. You're not going to pick the VP. As a matter of fact, why are you even still talking? Why are you even in my office? Go, be gone. You're escorted out. I don't need to talk to you. I don't care what you say. The people I care about are Americans. And Americans voted for us. Okay? Now, so hopefully, I don't know. I'm channeling, so I don't even know. I hope you feel better about this. I feel better. I feel like knowledge is power. I feel that I know what's up now. And I know that once we get through this, on the other side of this, and it's a good on the other side, there's 6 months. And I'm here to tell you, I just said 6 months out of my mouth. And there's not 6 months to the election. So I hope you understand what that means. That for 6 months, there's going to be uncertainty and upheaval. I do see us in the White House. Maybe it's Biden Harris, maybe it's Harris and somebody else. But they will contest this in the courts. The Republicans will contest this in the courts. It will feel uneasy after the election, but we are going to understand and know that it was a fair election. It is a true election, and we're not going to put up anymore with this, Al Gore fiasco where some court decides the election. That's not going to happen. We are learning our lesson. Trust me when I say we're learning our lesson. Now, a couple of things I'll say is I talked about ghost voters, okay? They're not ghosts. They're not dead. But there are these what the guides are calling is a silent wave of voters. I'm not saying it's 20 points. I don't know how many points it is, but they are potent. They will make a difference, and they will bring us over the finish line. They're voters that nobody pays any attention to, sadly, including the Biden administration, because you look at who votes and it just makes sense, right? Like if I'm a regular voter, well, they're going to be polling me. They're going to be sending me the text. They're going to be sending me the postcards because I'm a regular voter. I mean, they know I'm going to vote. They want me to vote for them. If you're a new voter, you're invisible. They don't even know who you are. And if resources are really tight, they're not going to reach out to you. Okay? That's why I think they're silent and they're nobody knows who they are. But what is happening is the Biden administration has a whole group of younger people that are on TikTok that are getting press credentials for the debate, that are getting press credentials for the convention. Biden understands, Harris understands. They're not leaving these voters behind on purpose. They just don't know how to engage them. So they're doing the best they can. They're getting the message out on TikTok. They're getting the message out on YouTube. They're getting the message out on Instagram and wherever else these kids are. Now, the other thing is these kids are motivated by things that we don't even understand. And I talked more about this in this other video, but they're motivated by, they're very streetwise. They're, say, 22 to 32. They're very streetwise. They're gig workers. They're survivalists. They survived the pandemic. They're Uber drivers or, whatever they are. They're gig workers. And they know what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck. They also know what it's like to live in a violent society. If you're a gig worker, you've seen guns. You've had guns pulled on you. You've been shot at. If you work at fast food or retail, you've been violently attacked, things thrown at you. You've experienced this. You also know how important it is to go to Planned Parenthood and get a wellness exam for free, or to go to Planned Parenthood and get contraceptive, or to, manage your family. You can't afford 4 kids. You don't want 2 kids. Maybe you don't want any kids. So you know how it's important to be able to have an abortion if you want to have an abortion. You understand how important it is that because you're not white, you get pulled over more often. You get searched more often. You get treated differently. They understand that a vote for 45 is going to be more of the same and worse for them. They understand that Grandpa in the White House might be old. He might be ancient, but he's harmless. They know this. They can look at him and see he's harmless. He's not going to harm them. They can understand that they're safe with him. They can look at 45 and through their streetwise abilities say that guy is not somebody I'd want to be in an elevator with. They are voting for their lives. They're not voting red or blue. They're voting for their lives. That's what's going to motivate them. And that's what's going to motivate anybody who's not white. They live this life. I can't even imagine, but they live it. And they know that if 45 gets in, it's over for them. And that is not hyperbole. We know that to be true, just based on his own messaging. But also, think about the kids in the cages and the border. You don't think people paid attention to that? They're not going to vote for that guy. So we're going to get a Democratic president. It's just a matter of us staying calm, understanding kind of the bigger picture, understanding that sometimes people let us down. Maybe they meant to, maybe it was a mistake, maybe they got fooled themselves, maybe they got scammed themselves, maybe they got put in an untenable situation because they depended on that money and now they really have a good heart, but they kind of felt like, they had to. Maybe they bought into the anxiety. Maybe they bought that whole psychological operation of, we're going to lose it all if we don't get rid of this ticket. Maybe that's why they did it. I don't care why they did it. I don't at this point. I can't care. I need them to be in office in January of 2025. Once they're in office in January 2025, then you and me are going to get busy putting pressure on them to vote out big money, to make it transparent, to make your stock trades transparent. They're voting on that actually right now, but to make your campaign donations transparent and to really control these super PACs. I saw pictures of forums that showed one guy who is sort of behind this text attack where all these people were getting texts saying Biden has to step down for the good of the country. One man is behind that. He's got like 4 super PACs that all have names like For the Will of the People and all that stuff. And he's been involved in Democratic campaigns. But his money's coming from someplace else. We need to know that. We will become citizen investigators, citizen journalists. We will support investigative journalists. We're not going to pay attention to the media anymore because they're bought and paid for. We're going to find our own media sources, and we're going to use our own discernment, and we're going to figure out who's telling the truth and who isn't, and we're going to take that in consideration. We can't just be on autopilot and assume that because I live in a blue state and because I have a blue senator or a blue rep who's just always done great, we can't just assume that. Sometimes you have to check in and make sure that they haven't wandered too far, off of the line. It's just going to require us to be real citizens of our country. It's what it's going to require. So I hope this has made sense. I hope it's helped you understand what's going on. We're going to be fine. The will of the people want democracy. Yes, this has been horrible. Yes, it's been an attack. Yes, we're going to go through some things. We are going to go through some things. It's really the dissolving, in many ways, of the Republican Party, the dissolving of the Democratic Party, the dissolving of media, the dissolving of what we think our Supreme Court is or should be or whatever. And then it's just like the caterpillar that goes into the butterfly. When you're dissolving, you ain't pretty. There's nothing pretty happening. I don't know if it's painful, but maybe it is. But we can, by looking at and standing up for and saying, this is what we want from the Democratic Party, what we might end up doing is splitting off into 4 parties, which I think would be helpful. I really do. So maybe we have a conservative Democratic Party. Maybe we have a liberal Democratic Party or a labor Democratic Party. Maybe we have a conservative Republican Party, a fiscally money conservative, and then maybe we have a social conservative, just like in France. It was the coalition of the 2 parties that saved France from being probably right now a dictatorship. But when you just have 2 It's black and white. And what we're learning is nothing is black and white. If you get nothing from this video, please understand our lesson is everything is 500 shades of gray. This representative might be 90% amazing, 5% disappointing, and 5% out to lunch, or 70% amazing. How do we make sense of that? It's not going, none of us are 100% perfect. So we have to just sort of figure it out. And that's where the coalitions come in. My 70% matches your 70%. Let's throw in together and let's get something done. We disagree on these other things. So it's the dissolving of the Democratic Party too. This has happened before. The Democratic Party used to be the Republican Party. They switched. It's history, guys. This stuff has all happened before. It's not the end of the world. You know, we've had disputed conventions in 1968. It was, you know, Johnson stepped down and we had a disputed convention. These things have happened before. You know, this isn't necessarily new. It's just scary. I think it's just really, really scary. And I get it because I'm scared too. I get it. I have the same anxiety. But the bottom line is the people worldwide want peace. They don't want war. They don't want this. That's a little bit why they're willing to give their power away to a dictator. Like, if you'll just take care of me, just take care of me, right? I don't want any of this. I don't want to work. I don't want to not work. I don't want to be worried. I want everything to be done for me. I just want to know that everything is going to be the same. I just want to know that everything's going to be okay. Well, then you're voting for a dictator. The bottom line is we have to get up and check and make sure our democracy is okay. We need to get up and check and see how our school board is running, how our mayor, what does our mayor think? And you know, some of this has been a problem because of the violence, right? We're not so active because people are really violent. That is going to change. Kamala Harris will be the law and order president. You won't have the political violence because her DOJ will lock you away for a long time. She will not play. Her platform will be very much, this is the rules, these are the laws, and there won't be any pussyfooting around. There won't be no Garland action. There won't be any two-tier justice action. There will be no, you're going to get indicted, and if your peers say you're guilty, end of story, next. So that's going to be helpful for us to deal with this, right? Because then if you're not worried about political violence, you can actually get out there and be political and have a voice and say, this is the community that I want. This is the state that I want. This is the country that I want. So really, it's all good. But we've got to make the sausage. Nobody wants to see how sausage is made, but we've got to make it. We got to get reduced to goo before we can be the beautiful butterfly. So we have to find a way to manage our emotions, manage our anxiety, manage our trauma triggers, and work, take breaks, work, take breaks, work, take breaks. When you're taking a break, just know somebody else is working for you. When you're working, imagine somebody taking a break. This is not a marathon you can sprint through, is what they're trying to say. It's a marathon. You can't sprint through it. You've got to take some breaks in this time period and live your life. Democracy is here. We're not, having an anxiety attack and literally going offline is giving them the win. So try to really take care of yourself. Do what you can to protect your own energy. Okay, I'm going to sign off. I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments. Take really good care of yourself. I'll talk to you soon. For entertainment purposes only.